Welcome to the 2020 Max Scholars Black History Month celebration. Thank you to all the teachers that brought their classes this morning. My name is Shelby Trimble, and I'm the president of Max Scholars. In order to celebrate today, we should know what Max Scholars is and where Black History Month came from. MAX stands for Minority Achievement Committee and is a club at our school that promotes high-achieving minority students. We participate in service opportunities and seek to educate our peers on topics related to Black excellence. Max Scholars was started in 1990 at Shaker Heights High School and was focused on African American males. The model is now emulated around the country in many different forms, but all Max Scholars hold the belief that they can make an important difference in younger generations.
Our Max Scholars wanted to focus on HBCUs. They also wanted to focus on Black hair. It's basically an edutainment type of event where they educate and also entertain you. The focus on the HBCUs was about just trying to bring awareness to the historically Black colleges and universities that are some of the historically Black colleges and universities that are here in the United States. And also they wanted to talk about the hair issue because that's been something that's been raised lately in the news and the media. And so they wanted to inform people about what Black students go through in terms of dealing with presenting their hair and just what they go through on a day-to-day basis here in school.
So I know they've been doing this program for quite a few years. I don't know how many, but when we took over Max Scholars 3 years ago, They had already been doing the program for a little while, and we just kind of took on where they left off, and the kids choose either if they want to do a theme each year or if they want to just sort of do a variety of things, but it's very student-led. We weren't on stage at all. We want them to be in charge of the whole thing. The program is always held usually at the end of Black History Month.
It was nice to have Lester Lynch here as a former student, alumnus of Elyria High School. He integrated well into our program. He actually, kind of went off on his own. We gave him the slide and we gave him, some parameters, of some things we wanted said, but he really took it and went with it. And he did a really good job of inspiring our students. I have heard some students at the end, and some of my classes say that they really liked what he said and were inspired by the speech. So it was nice to have him here. It was nice for the students to get an opportunity to see him, somebody that comes back to the community and is able to offer something to students here.
Here on the board, we have, obviously, Mr. Martin Luther King Jr., and just below him, whom we are all familiar with, just below him is Carter G. Woodson. I just want to speak about each individual here for just a moment. Carter Goodwin Woodson was an American historian, author, journalist, and founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He is known as being the father of Black history. In February 1926, he launched the celebration of Negro History Week, the precursor to Black History Month. Black History Month was first proposed by Black educators and by the Black United Students at Kent State University, just an hour from here, in February 1969. The first celebration of Black History Month took place at Kent State 1 year later, from January 2nd, 1970 to February 28th, 1970. The next individual that we see here is Claudette Colvin. Claudette actually was the first person at the age of 15 that was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama. This occurred a full 9 months before the more widely known incident in which Rosa Parks, secretary of the local chapter of the NAACP, helped spark the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. Just underneath her is Mr. Malcolm Little, better known to us as Malcolm X. A controversial figure accused of preaching racism and violence, Malcolm X is widely celebrated figure within the African American community and the Muslim American communities. The next individual that you'll see there is Congresswoman Shirley Grisham, just there near Barack. Shirley Grisham was an American politician, educator, and author. In 1968, she became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress. and she represented New York's 12th Congressional District for 7 terms, from 1969 to 1983. There's also a wonderful documentary about Ms. Grisham. It's called Grisham 72, Unbought and Unbossed, when she ran for president in 1972. We'll come back to the next lady there, that's Maya Angelou, and we go to our wonderful 44th president, President Barack Obama. And just underneath him is Fannie Lou Hamer. She was an American voting and women's rights activist, community organizer, and a leader in the civil rights movement. She was the co-founder and vice chair of the Freedom Democratic Party, which she represented at the 1964 Democratic National Convention. Hamer also organized Mississippi's Freedom Summer along with the Student Nonviolent Coordination Committee. She was also a co-founder of the National Women's Politician Caucus and an organizer in which she created and trained to support women of all races who wish to seek election to government office. Now, to return for a moment to Ms. Maya Angelou, a few words from her that she wrote for the Million Man March. Just indulge me for one more moment. The poem goes like this. The night has been long. The wound has been deep, and the pit has been dark, and the walls have been steep. Under a deep blue sky and a distant beach, I was dragged by my braids just beyond your reach. Your hands were tied, your mouth was bound. You couldn't even call out my name. You were helpless, and so was I. But unfortunately, throughout history, you've worn a badge of shame. I say, the night has been long, the wound has been deep, the pit has been dark, and the walls have been steep. But today, voices of old spirit sound. Speak to us in words profound. Across the years, across the centuries, across the oceans and across the seas, they say, draw nearer to one another, save your race. You have been paid for in a distant place. The old ones remind us that slavery's chains have been paid for our freedom again and again. The night has been long. The pit has been deep. The night has been dark, and the walls have been steep. The hells we have lived through and live through still have sharpened our senses and toughened our will. The night has been long. This morning I looked through your anguish right down to your soul. I know that with each other we can make ourselves whole. I look through the posture and the past your disguise and see your love for family in your big brown eyes. I say, clap hands and let's come together in this meeting ground. I say, clap hands and let's deal with each other with love. I say, clap hands and let us get from the low road of indifference. Clap hands, let us come together and reveal our hearts. Let us come together and revise our spirits. Let us come together and cleanse our souls. Clap hands. Let's leave the peering and stop imposturing our own history. Clap hands. Call the spirits back from the ledge. Clap hands. Let us invite joy into our conversation, courtesy into our bedrooms, gentleness into our kitchens, care into our nurseries. The ancestors remind us, despite the history of pain, we are a going on people who will rise again. And still, we rise. Maya Angelou. Thank you very much.